Launch out into the deep and let down your nets for a catch. Master, we've worked all night and caught nothing, but at your word, I'll do it.
All right, today we're going to talk about the architecture of what's called a bendable soul. It's a story all about a different kind of strength. You know, one that's not about being rigid and unbreakable, but is actually found in the most unexpected posture of all, the ability to bend.
So, let me ask you, what makes a person truly strong? Is it, their confidence, their expertise, that ability to always lead from the front? I think we're often taught that strength means having all the answers, right? Well, the story we're going to dive into today, it flips that idea completely on its head. Okay, so our story starts with the fisherman's mess, and we're not beginning with some kind of hero. Nope, we're starting with a fisherman named Simon, and we catch him in a moment of just total professional failure. This is not a success story, at least not at first. It's a story that begins in a very ordinary, very relatable mess. Yeah, his nets are just empty. I mean, picture this. Simon has been working all night long. This guy's a professional. He knows these waters like the back of his hand. But the result? It's stark. Absolutely nothing. His nets are completely empty. You can just feel that deep frustration and bone-deep exhaustion.
And this quote just says it all. He smelled like lake water and disappointment. Wow. That paints such a vivid picture, doesn't it? He wasn't impressive, he was just tired, defeated, and frankly, a bit of a letdown. He's basically the embodiment of a really, really bad day at the office.
Sometimes you do everything right and still come up empty. And this is a feeling we can all relate to, right? That moment when you've put in all the work, you followed all the rules, and still, you fail. Simon's failure here, it isn't some unique tragedy. It's a deeply, deeply human experience.
Then an interruption. Just as he's stewing in this frustration, an outsider shows up. It's a wandering teacher who, doesn't seem to notice or care about the failure. He just makes this really simple request. Can I borrow your boat? And this simple little interruption, well, it's about to change absolutely everything.
So this brings us to the next part, the test in the water. See, the core of this whole story isn't some grand, flashy miracle or a loud declaration. It's actually a quiet, simple test of character that happens right there in Simon's boat on the very water he knows better than anyone else.
And the instructions he's given? They're almost laughably simple for an expert fisherman. Step 1, push out a bit. Okay, easy enough. Step 2, go deeper, and then cast the nets again. Now, you gotta remember, this is in broad daylight. After a long, fruitless night of catching absolutely nothing. It makes no sense.
And this is the crucial point. He knows the water, he knows the rules of his trade, he does it anyway. I mean, everything in Simon's professional mind is screaming that this is a complete waste of time. He knows the fish aren't there, it goes against all logic. And yet, he does it. Something inside him is just open to it.
And this really gets to the heart of the matter. The common assumption is that trust requires certainty. But the real insight here is that trust only requires willingness. We think we need a guarantee of the outcome before we can trust. But Simon, he acts without any certainty at all. His trust isn't based on proof, it's based on a simple, humble willingness to just try. All right, so what happens next is pretty shocking. But what's maybe even more shocking is Simon's reaction to it all. And that's what reveals the story's true meaning, the power of what we're calling the bendable soul. So what happens? An embarrassingly loud success. Suddenly, the nets are groaning. I mean, they are so full of fish that they literally start to break. It's not just a success, it's this overwhelming, almost awkward miracle. It's a catch so big, it's actually become a problem.
And this is the pivot point. Simon doesn't puff up, he collapses. In the face of this unbelievable success, what does he do? Does he stand tall, take a bow? Nope, he completely collapses. He is just undone by this moment.
And his words, they reveal everything. He basically says, this is too much for someone like me. He doesn't feel worthy of this success. He's being painfully, brutally honest, not just with the teacher, but with himself. There's zero pride here, just this raw, overwhelming feeling. So what was seen in him wasn't polish, it was his posture. What was it that this teacher saw in Simon? It wasn't his skill as a fisherman, it wasn't some hidden leadership potential. It was his internal posture, his fundamental disposition, his character. And this brings us right to our core concept. The term is bendable soul, and the definition is this. It's a posture defined not by strength, but by the willingness to be open, honest, and receptive.
It's not about being perfect or strong in that traditional macho sense. It's about having this posture of openness, of honesty, and just a readiness to be guided.
So let's break down the traits of the bendable soul. First, someone with a bendable soul knows their limits. They're not pretending to have it all together. They don't put on a show. Second, they listen, and then, this is the crucial part, they move when asked. They act on what they hear. And finally, they don't take the credit. When success comes, they don't hoard it for themselves.
Okay, so let's talk about posture over polish. How does this bendable posture actually connect to Simon's ultimate transformation? Because, see, his story doesn't end in that boat, not by a long shot. In fact, it's just a beginning.
And check this out. This moment, with his knees shaking in a boat that's literally sinking from the weight of success, this is exactly the moment his name starts to change. I mean, here's the great paradox. Simon's moment of what looks like his greatest weakness, of feeling completely unworthy and small, is the very thing that qualifies him for a whole new identity and future. His breaking point becomes his starting point.
And this quote just nails it. He was chosen not because he became better, but because he was already bendable. Think about that. He wasn't chosen to be fixed or improved. He was chosen simply because he already had this quality. His true strength was actually in his softness.
So this leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on. When success arrives in your life, do you puff up or do you collapse? In your own world, when a moment of unexpected, overwhelming success hits, what's your first gut instinct? Do you puff up your chest with pride or do you kind of collapse in honest, humble awe? Your answer just might reveal more about your true strength than you think.